Welcome to the Evolvepreneurs podcast channel, which is sponsored by Evolvepreneur.biz, a new online community-based platform designed to help develop your skills and knowledge to be massively successful in this new digital age. Your host today is John North, who is a 3-time #1 international best-selling author and strategic marketer. John's passion is to help business owners to master the online marketing world.
Welcome to Evolvepreneur podcast. My very special guest today is Silke Glaab, is an executive coach and psychologist with over 15 years career in counselling and coaching. She supports executives and experts in resetting their mind for health and wealth in 4 sessions they can take their work and life balance to the next level. She trained with a broad range of international experts like world-renowned therapist Marisa Peer and Professor Justin Kennedy. She's also an official member of the Forbes Coaches Council in 2019. Welcome. Thanks for coming along today.
Thank you very much, John, for having me on your show today.
Fantastic. So we've got a few things we talked about before, and it's quite an interesting subject. That's part of the reason why I sort of thought I'd get you on the show, because we haven't really talked about a lot of psychology and stuff for people before. Give me a little bit of idea of where you came from. How did you get to where you are today? Like, what did you actually start off? So a lot of people start off their life in a different way and end up in something else. Is that what happened to you, or did you always want to be a psychologist?
Yeah, I'm actually a very typical psychologist. I studied psychology. I emphasized organizational psychology. But then life brought me to different stages or even different countries. I worked first for a telecommunication industry in Germany. Then I did development work as a technical advisor in Kenya. Mm-hmm. And from there, I worked for a private company in the water sector, then as a school counselor, and this brought me to Dubai.
Right.
And there I just added further trainings, NLP coaching, systemic work, hypnotherapy, what else? Breath work and neuroscience coaching.
Right. Okay.
Just to create really a good portfolio.
Right. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I think one of the things that an entrepreneur needs to be is almost an amateur psychologist. Because I think in a lot of cases that you need to understand how the human mind works and why people do stuff. Otherwise, when you're marketing, you have no idea. So what you asked me, we had some sort of questions prepared. So what's the foundation of being a successful leader in your mind, like in terms of what you do and that?
Yeah, for me, a successful leader is someone who really has his mind and his brain in a very good condition. Mm-hmm. Because everything what you're doing, what you are, what you act, your decisions, your stress control, your creativity, your innovations, your persistence, all come from one place, and that's your brain.
True.
And therefore, and I think it's something we always overlook. What really drives us and evolves us as an entrepreneur is really our brain, and especially stress. Yeah, and often you have a lot of stress, you have time frames, sometimes looking for clients. If you're starting up, you have a lot of hours to invest, and therefore it's very important to look also at your brain.
Yeah, I mean, mindset, it's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a very famous study, it's often quoted by Michael Freeman. And it's a study from 2015, but nobody has repeated it. Okay. He interviewed over 2,500 entrepreneurs, and he asked them about their mental state. And what came out was that 30%, these were self-interviews, yes, the self-reflections. Yeah. And 30% recorded to have a depression, 29% to suffer from ADHD, this attention disorder, 12% from substance abuse, and 11% had bipolar disorder, where you have phases or periods of depression and manic. disorder.
Wow.
And this is it's much higher than the prevalence of the normal American population in that year.
Right.
And it shows you that being an entrepreneur, standing on your own, financial risk you have to take, the up and downs of your business, they really take it like how you say it, on your mental health.
Wow. That explains some of the customers I've dealt with over the years. Because I noticed a lot of the really successful entrepreneurs that I've sort of been associated with, particularly over the last 3 or 4 years, ADHD, whatever, has been something that a lot of them have said, I've been diagnosed it, or I probably am, because I think part of it is like that's kind of what they use as a way of trying to get their business running, because they're all over the place. They create a lot of tension, right? But I don't think it's a great way to kind of attract staff and keep people if you're too distracted, I think, at the end of the day. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and it's also a certain personality type who chooses to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
It's already a kind of selection. And then you live in an environment that causes a lot of stress, that holds a lot of stress factors. As I said, a financial situation, maybe funds are not going through, or you don't get the income you needed for that month, and you're always like in this limbo where you don't know what will come in the next months. And this takes really a toll on your whole overall functioning. And a very important step is that you really take care on your stress response. And there is a concept I often share. It's called sneeze.
Right. Okay.
That's the best prevention for any burnout or mental health disorder.
Okay.
And you want me to describe it? What's behind sneeze?
So obviously not.
Yeah. Yeah. So sneeze to prevent stress and burnout and whatever comes. So the first one, the S stands for sleep.
Yep.
It's very necessary that you sleep at least 7 hours per night. I'm really emphasizing night.
How many?
Yeah, not during the day, no naps during the day, because at night certain hormones are active and they're only active during nighttime. And this helps you really to rejuvenate, get your systems back, restructure yourself. And you have to go through several sleeping cycles to make that happen. And therefore, 7 hours of continuous sleep really makes sure that you go through these several sleeping cycles. That's very, very important. We always think, or some people proclaim, they only need to sleep for 4 hours. Maybe there are some people out there, and but that's not the norm. Our brain is not programmed for that.
So my understanding, when I've been reading some books about the brief history of the world and stuff like that, it's quite interesting. And one of the things it said was that human beings started to sort of, their brain got bigger and was able to do more when they actually invented dogs themselves, because they actually trained dogs to look after them. And the idea is they could sleep and their brain grew bigger. So obviously that's the same principle, right? So at the end of the day, humankind's kind of gone the other way now, where they're not getting as much sleep as they probably were a long, long time ago.
Because this is regulated by a deep center in the brain, by the hypothalamus. And this is a very old region of the brain. It regulates our stress response, sleep cycle, appetite. And this is not even under our control. It's the vegetative nervous system. And therefore sleep is one of the things, and it's not of humankind. We have different parts that evolved over mankind, and this is a very old part of the brain, and it's still programmed like this. The next one is the N. The N stands for nutrition. Our nervous cells are cells, and they communicate with each other. And cells, especially in the brain, they need good protein and good fatty acids.
Yeah.
And fatty acids are omega-3s. Good protein can come from beef if you're a vegan. And you have to look for other plant-based resources for protein. And fat is also very, very important. Essential fatty acids. You can also take them from nuts.
Right.
Yeah, they are also called omega-3s. That's the second step.
Okay.
Then E stands for emotional control. And here, everything comes in about mindfulness. And this is one of the major things. Are you even able to drop into your body? Do you have a connection from your brain to your body? A lot of us, me included, we are always working, we are planning, we are active, we are analyzing. All these our conscious thoughts, but we are biological beings, and therefore our body is also very important. And emotional control starts by dropping into your body and sensing what's going on. These are sensations in your body, and it's important that you catch them before they become a feeling.
Right.
Because emotions are energy in motion. Something was released from the brain, then you have some physical response to that. And now the body or the brain senses it back and says, oh, there is something. And a feeling, a conscious feeling is created. So if you want to emotionally control yourself, drop into your body, sense what's going on. Is this tight? With me, I often sense that my calves are becoming very tight. Yeah, they become cold because I'm seated the whole time. I sense my lower back starts to pain, and this should be a signal that I need an interruption. Yeah, that I interrupted, and I also say, oh, my calves are feeling very tight now. My lower back starts to pain. And then I prevent any form of exhaustion because I'm getting more aware. There's Dr. Alan Viskin, and he says, catch your emotion before they become a feeling.
Okay, makes sense, yeah. And I mean, obviously then you start, you attach a feeling to it and then it gets bigger and bigger, right? It becomes a big problem.
Yeah, and we always override our body. We don't notice that we're becoming tired. We don't notice that we can't concentrate anymore. Yeah, we think we are sitting there for 6 hours, busy doing one thing after the other one, or doing 3 things at the same time. But again, our brain is not programmed like this. It has to shift attention all the time. This means if you do several things, it always focuses at one thing at a time. If you swap too fast, the brain always has to swap again. We are not able to multitask. Yeah.
Well, not even women.
No, even women can't multitask. Nobody can. The brain can only consciously focus on one thing. And this means you have to do it really in seconds. And that's also not so good for the brain.
Right, confusing.
Therefore, also try to interrupt your work. There are some people that can focus for 15 minutes. Some people can only focus for 15 or 20 minutes. And there are some apps in the market. I use Brain Focus. And then you can give yourself a schedule. After 20 minutes, it rings. You do a short break, you drink water, you do some exercises, whatever, and then you come back. Especially if you're ADHD, you should have really breaks because you can really focus for a long time. And this is what I recommend for the E.
Okay.
Then we have the A, stands for activity.
Right.
Do something in your free time. Do something opposite what you're doing during your work time.
Yep.
If you're seated the whole time, then become active.
Yep.
Do something like jogging, swimming, fast walking, whatever you feel like. If you're already very busy during the day, do something the opposite, like do more relaxation things like yoga, tai chi, something like that.
Right. Okay.
Also, brain gym is quite good in between, just to balance your right and left hemisphere of your brain. It's also a very good recommendation.
Okay.
And we have this next sneeze, the second S. This stands for social interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Very important as a human being that we interact with other human beings.
Yep.
And in person on person, not just online, but be with your family, be with your kids. And this also helps you to have this release of oxytocin, getting this sense of belonging. That's also very, very important. To feel that you're not alone, that there is a community, a family around you.
Okay.
Yeah. And E, the second E stands for enthusiasm. So be passionate about whatever you're doing. This should be a high value. Don't go for achieving goals after the other. Know your vision, your mission in life. Why are you doing that? Yeah. Knowing to this world gives you a higher meaning in life, and then you can create a very powerful and passionate vision how you want to live your mission.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay, so I think it's quite actually what you're talking about. I was just thinking about the way that I kind of run my show here, and what basically I do is, like, I don't start work until 10 o'clock in the morning. So my diary is actually blocked till 10 o'clock. So I might start work 9:30, 9 o'clock, maybe a little later. But the idea is that I don't have start actual work until 10, so my diary is blocked. And one of the things I found was I was able to get things done and get ready for the day rather than suddenly having an appointment straight away as soon as you get to work. And the other thing that I'm doing is I play squash 5 times a week. So I've got. So
you're fulfilling already really major things.
Yeah. So I set it up that way that I have to leave. I have to get squash because I play competition. I have to be there by 6:30, 7 o'clock every day. 4 days a week, and I play on weekend. The idea is that I can't work, right? So I can't keep working. So I've kind of tricked myself into a situation where I can't keep working. I've got to stop, even if I wanted to. And
that's really excellent, John.
Yeah.
That's exactly. So you have fulfilled already your activity, then emotional control, not to be overwhelmed, start your day a little bit later, have a time frame, how long you're working. Excellent.
And I think one of the dangers is when you're evolving. Yeah, you go. I think it takes a long time to figure this stuff out, though. Like, I think one of the things also I've got is I don't work for clients on weekends. So I work for my stuff. I'll do my stuff on weekends, but I very rarely work for clients on weekends, because the theory is that you can never, if you start working for clients and working 7 days a week, there's not an 8th day in the week, right? So you'll end up in a situation you'll never win, because if you can't get it done in 5 days, you'll never get it done in 7. So I kind of like.
And if you see in this industrial time when we started to get this 9 to 5 jobs, it has a reason why it was created, that you have this 40-hour, maybe maximum 50 hours week, and people fought for these rights to come through, to have a 40 or even shorter than 40 hours week. And now we as entrepreneurs, we are working often 60 hours, some even more, and this is, our body is actually not meant for this. You can do that for a short time, but in the end, you really exhaust yourself.
You burn yourself out, And I was actually at a conference last week talking about that concept of burnout, because they said, look, sooner or later it's going to get you if you keep that up.
It's the stress. It's the permanent stress you put on your body. And a lot of mental health disorders, they start with stress. Stress that's not well managed anymore. And that's the definition of burnout. Burnout is stress at your workplace, if you're now working for someone or for yourself, that's not properly managed anymore. If it still continues, you can even develop depression and anxiety out of it, because depression and anxiety is also a stress response, something you can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. And I think that the problem is that most people discover this by the fact they do burn out. Like they have some major incident that gets them, and then they go, oh, gee whiz. And to a degree, I had something like that happen to me as well. I mean, I went through a lot of stressful situations, and over time, you sort of get to the point where it's actually less is more, right? You know, if you actually work less, you can make more money, you have more time. And I think that the concept of working too hard has never worked. You know, like, I think, you know, your parents always say, "Oh, work hard," you know, and I think, well, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, this concept, work harder and harder than, I said, what kind of concept is that? Yeah, it's for me, I'm more on that I say work smart. Yeah.
Yep.
If it's something, why should I work hard and continue the same actions that are not working? Then it's better I sit down, I use my rational thinking to come up with better strategies. But I can only do that, use my really rational thinking, when the other parts of my brain are stress-free. If they're not stress-free, they always overrule your conscious thinking, because the networks of that stress response throughout your brain is much stronger than this area, the prefrontal cortex, that stands for executive functioning, planning, focus, decision making. And this doesn't have so many connections to other parts of the brain, but the stress brain has. The time you are able to be stress-free or more in the neutral zone, then you can think clearly and make better decisions. And therefore, I said, it's very important that you get a feeling for your body to sense where are you on your stress level right now. Because your body is the only part you can sense how stressed you are. Some people use even this electronics to see how their heart rate is. You can even measure some activities in your brain. In the moment you sense that, then you have to regulate down. With some breathing work, just do conscious breathing, and then you regulate it down. You can see it on your device, and then you know, okay, now I'm on neutral zone, and here in this state I can really think clearly. And also because you said this concept of working harder, there are certain personality types who are driven not to achieve something, but to avoid something. Like people who always have to be perfect. And they have this concept of, I have to do more, I have to do more. And there's a subroutine running them that's called, I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. And therefore, I have to do more to prove, okay, maybe I was not able to prove it to my parents, but now I want to prove it to the world. And I'm always not satisfied, and I feel not at rest. And this is a really subconscious program that's, you may be not aware of it, but that runs you in the background. And then you're avoiding something instead of going towards something.
Instead of dealing with it, you're just avoiding it. Yeah, it makes sense. And you see those people are very highly active, and you wonder whether they're actually getting anything done right. It's just like very busy. And
they have to stand still. They have to come once to a moment and realize, what am I doing here? What really drives me? Is it I'm going from one activity to the other one? I try out this, I meet this guy, I do this and this, and then you wonder, there comes a time that you're not making progress anymore. Or you feel really, what we said before, really burned out, and then you say, what's the meaning? What do I really want? And that's the time of really self-reflection. How is my body doing, and what's really running me?
And yeah, and I mean, absolutely. And I think part of the problem is that they're probably also trying to avoid that as well. As you say, they're trying to distract themselves into something they're trying to avoid.
Yes, because it's too painful for some people to notice that. Yeah.
I think the one thing that I've spoken to a lot of business owners about is that they tend to think that it is what it is, right? So, you know, they can't change it, you know, whatever their business is. And I think the biggest myth out there is you can change anything. Like it's your business, do whatever you want, right? And over the years, I've done that where I've fired clients. So I've double pricing, done a lot of things basically. And I think part of the reason is your mind's kind of holding you back, thinking, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, because you've got to stick with whatever you've got. But I think at the end of the day, you know, you can do whatever you want rather than making you think you're stuck. And I think some people get kind of stuck in that syndrome and I can't change it. I've got to stay exactly the same.
And what you are in that moment, that's what your business is in the end.
It's a reflection.
Because your business is a creation, a projection of who you are. And therefore we also have these kind of personality traits. Yeah. And if you have if you're a bigger company, not only a solopreneur, but you have also employees, then look what your personality type creates among your staff.
Yep.
What kind of culture do you create with that you always feel something drives you and you're not maybe satisfied with what your employees are doing, you always complain, or you have this fear, so a constant worry about the future, and with this you also affect your whole team. It's
not being self-aware of what's going on, right? So
you picks it up, your stuff.
So people pick it up that's happening. You just don't realize you're doing it. Makes sense. So one of the things we talked about was something you talked about called a mirror neuron theory. What's that exactly?
This is what I wanted to refer in the last statement. Is there were some studies that they did it with chimpanzees, and they realized that chimpanzees just had to watch what the mother was doing, a certain task, and without doing it, just watching it, then they did some brain scans. They saw what kind of activity is happening in the brain of the chimpanzees. And they realized that the same neurons are firing as the neurons of the mother, what she was doing, the motoric task. These were motoric skills. Now, people thought you could also relate that back to human beings, that we take up what others are feeling. That's more this empathic way, that you have a sense how someone is feeling and you feel the same feelings at the time. Imagine in a cinema, women, so there is a very romantic scene, and then you will feel like tears are coming down, and you feel the same feelings that actress or whatever is feeling at that moment, so you can relate to feelings of other people. This mirror theory that you can just watch people and you have the task is maybe not so updated, but people pick up what kind of energy is coming from you. If you, as a leader, if you really spread passion, if you're passionate about something, if you have a good vibe around you, and you believe things will work out as they are, your members will pick that up. This is very, very obvious. If you have more this psychotic personality, worry, that you don't trust, that you feel that you're anxious about certain things, then also this energy will be picked up.
Makes sense, and that self-awareness, I think, is something that most entrepreneurs.
It starts really with you. I heard from he was on your show, Ron Carucci.
Oh yes.
Ron very
He's a very
interesting
smart
person.
guy. Yeah.
He's often also called, he changes organizations. And then he was called, just look at this manager. Somehow he becomes always angry when we're in team meetings. He spreads this negative energy. And then he watched it, he observed that. And later he spoke with that manager. He said, are you aware of that? What's going on? And then he said, not really. And then Ron asked him, so what's behind that? And then he said, yeah, because when people are not fulfilling the expectations I have on them, and this makes me really angry. And then Ron also digged a little bit deeper, and then it came out that his mother from the manager, nothing was ever enough, good enough. And this tendency, if he's not enough, then others can be also not good enough.
Yeah,
so he
passing
took
it on.
over from the mother. And when he got this awareness, only then he was able to really reflect on it and change it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. I think particularly for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's very much a solo thing. You know, people don't pick up on stuff because you don't have that workforce around you. It's very much changed nowadays, particularly even with cloud, work and stuff, people working remotely. You know, in a situation where people don't really pick up on that stuff anymore when they used to pick it up in the office, right?
Yes. Or others, they have problems always with flow of money. They have times money comes in, but then it goes out even more.
Yeah, fast as it comes.
Yeah, there's also another program running. And if you dig a little bit deeper, I had once a client, and she said, yeah, why I can't make money? I earn money, yes, but I can't hold it. And then we did a session, and when we came to the issue of money, then it came out that she had this image, a metaphor came up, that she's drowning in the ocean. There's a bubble around her, but she's overflowed. She's not dying because she's in this air bubble. But it's like, okay, then I just let it go, and so I can't hold it. It's not part of me. And then it came out that it was linked to something of one of her parents who was an alcoholic. And whenever that parent had a tendency that she or he felt overwhelmed, then alcohol was the thing to take to go into this bubble, not to feel anything, to feel safe and whatever. And very strangely, that feeling of let it just float and money is not part, money was linked to that experience. The mother, or the father.
And I think that's a big problem for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people, like in fear of success, right? So they actually, even though they want to be successful, they actually got a fear of it, and they'll sort of spend the money and almost set themselves up for failure just because they have that fear of actually being too successful.
Yes, and why I came also to executives and experts. Many years back, my parents had a hotel. And after 14 years of really running this hotel very smoothly, they got into a financial crisis. And the crisis got the worse, the mental state of my mother got. Because it was so stressful. We were 3 kids, and in the end, I can really clearly see it, that the brown carpet in our living room was covered with all the blue accounting books, because she had thrown them all on the floor, and she said, I'm out of this, I can't do it anymore, it's now on you, And it took her really years to recover from it.
Wow.
And also as a child, therefore I really, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your children, I said. This really affects your kids a lot. And out of this, I created a mission to really help people on time before it's too late. Yeah, because if you have reached a certain point, and maybe in your childhood there were already stressful events, and then in your adulthood another stressful event happens, this can actually take off a mental health disorder.
Interesting stuff. I mean, I think the body and the brain is something people never will ever figure out totally, right? And it's some people are all different. But I think end of the day is you know, the message is to sort of pay attention, right? Pay attention to what's going on rather than just try and override yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and how you are doing it. Yeah, I really love that approach. Yeah, to start later, to have your workouts. Yeah, to limit your time. I really love that approach, and you can see it from yourself. Yeah, you look like calm, relaxed.
Yeah. Exactly, and I think that's part of the problem is that, you know, as we said, you know, working hard will never work, right? It'll be the cost of
it will not work.
Fine. So I think if you can force yourself into a situation where, you know, for me, if I've booked in appointments like with yourself and stuff like that, you can't get out of, then the reality is that it'll work out the way you want. So you must set yourself up for it to work rather than the other way around, where you might, you know, because to me, if I've got to go for a walk in the afternoon, I'll find all sorts of reasons to get out of that. You know, I want to do it, and then, it's got too dark, it's raining, all these reasons not to go and do it. But if I've got to go somewhere because someone will chase me down if I don't show up, well, then I'll go. And that's the nice thing about doing it. So, yeah, I think set yourself up so you have no choice. I think it's a good way to go. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, to set yourself up to have like a structure, a kind of shield around you. You can never avoid stress. And some certain amount of stress is also good, but too much, it really builds up, and we have a tendency to suppress it. It started already in childhood, even in school. You could not just do whatever you wanted to do. Exactly. There is a lot of suppressed emotions in your body.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Well, we're running out of time now, so I want to sort of get a bit of an idea of who you work, you know, who's your best customer in terms of people who come to you. So if the listeners are listening to us and they think, that sounds interesting, I'd like you to give me some help. What's the best sort of way to get hold of you? What sort of clients are you looking for? That type of thing. Give me a bit of an idea. Shameless promotion time.
Yes. Yeah, I'm very glad to have this opportunity. Yeah, I focus on executives, entrepreneurs, founders, experts. And the themes they're coming to me is, for example, to recover from burnout, anxiety, depression, but they also come to find they're in a transition stage in their career and they want to find a new way, a meaningful, purposeful way for themselves, or they have issues in their relationships, either with work colleagues, with business partners, or in their families. Right. That's another source. Or financial money issues. Yeah, that what I said before. They say, I'm earning, but more is going, where I can't make the money I want to become more successful. On one side of the frame, we have people who really want to come out of a health-related issue, and others, they're already successful, but they want to become more successful.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay, cool. So how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to find you?
Yeah, the best way is to go over my website. That's Celia like Charlie, silkcelia.com. I also have a free masterclass on how to transform from stress into strength. There you get also a sneak peek of the method I'm using.
Nice.
And then I also offer a 3 discovery session just to find out how I can help you in your unique situation.
Nice. Okay, cool. We'll put the links up on the podcast as well, so people can find it if they need to. It's really interesting stuff. I talk about this stuff all day.
Me too.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Like I read a lot of psychology books and over the time, because I think at the end of the day, the more you understand yourself and then you also understand other people, the better you are, and in particularly in sales and marketing, because at the end of the day, that's, you know, everybody needs that. And I think a lot of people don't realise the messaging they're either sending out to their staff, customers, whoever. So it's quite an interesting subject. So we talk about for hours. So really appreciate you coming on, and maybe we'll have it on again sometime in the future.
Thank you very much, John, for having me on your show. And thank you very much, listeners, to listen to that episode of John's Evolvepreneur podcast.
Thanks heaps, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've just been listening to another great Evolvepreneur podcast interview. We hope you enjoyed it. Please visit evolvepreneur.biz today to find out more about our online community and how you can take part.